Weekly update for Friday, December 20th. Hey, it's been a while since we have featured our house poet, Darrell Epp, the Bard of Hamilton, Ontario. So we're just about overdue for that. Here's another phone message from Darrell, and a cover shot of After Hours is still selling. So getting definitely close to best-selling poetry book standards, particularly in Canada. And it's going to have a line at the bottom telling you the website at Mosaic Press where you can find Darrell's book. But here's a phone message that he left for me, and let's have a listen.
First saved message.
Hey there, fella. This is Darrell calling from Hamilton. So the big news of the week is that Forbes magazine interviewed Bill Sienkiewicz, and the reporter said, the subject of the artistic merit of comic book-based movies and TV seems to be big right now. How does that tie into what you're saying? And Bill Sienkiewicz said, for me, hearing Scorsese come out and say that stuff, it felt weird. My whole goal as a kid was to get people to respect the medium as much as I did. That's what I've been trying to do for a long time. Hearing the art form denigrated my entire life, I want comics treated as literature, as journalism, as art, and as cinema. I'm not just talking about superhero movies. With Scorsese and Coppola, I respect their work and opinion. It has influenced me. Another example, early on in my career, after I started changing my style, I was under the impression that Art Spiegelman, who I know, who would talk comics and art, I heard through other people that he, quote, despised my work, quote, end quote, and thought it, quote, wasn't comics, end quote. It was illustration, or whatever. And that always stuck with me, because that's the last thing I wanted to be. I thought comics could do anything. And I was disappointed that Art Spiegelman was taking it on himself to define what, quote, comics, end quote, were. But the point is, it just feels like, no matter who you are, you don't get to decide what is or isn't the art form. It's not for me to say, even if I don't like the style, to say that's not comics or that's not cinema. It just feels presumptuous. It's always been a big tent. Comics can do anything. Film can do anything. When you start judging, maybe it's fear, an awareness of mortality. Forbes journalist says, Stray Toasters is beloved by those of us who have seen it. Any chance we'll be seeing more work written and drawn by Bill Sienkiewicz. Bill Sienkiewicz says, it's more of a priority for me now. When I did, I was not the best candidate to write and draw a monthly comic. I couldn't really take over a Marvel or DC character. With Toasters, it was a complete immersion. When I worked on it, I was living at my studio. I was consumed by it. I stopped going home. People would barely see me. When I do that, my own writing, full immersion, it is not a pleasant thing. It's quite depleting. As hard as painting and drawing can be, there's a little bit of an emotional disconnect. Working on Stray Toasters was like walking on a tightrope that fades away into nothingness. It's completely untethered to anything or anything anyone else is doing. It's exhilarating and terrifying. When I'm working with a writer or inking someone else's pencils, it's a collaboration. When I do my own, there's no right or wrong. I'm just doing it for myself, trying to capture something ineffable, intangible. My concern is that no one will read it. No one will understand it. That's always been my fear. It's feeling fully exposed, doing a deep kind of dive where I can forget to come up for air. But there's a lot more I want to say. I'm not done with it. And the pendulum has swung back the other way. The people who love straight toasters love it. Some just don't get it.
End of message. To delete this message, press 7.
I guess my answer to that for Bill would be, well, Bill, with the experience that you had with Art Spiegelman, imagine what that would be like if pretty much everybody that you considered a friend in the comic book field, or a well-wisher anyway, I mean, you just sort of write off Gary Groth and Art Spiegelman and all of the hate-filled people in the avant-garde. But everyone else that you considered a friend, as I considered you a friend, just suddenly isn't there. After issue 186 came out, and I became the first victim of online mobbing in the comic book field. So there you go, little food for thought. And yeah, I'm a huge Stray Toasters fan. I hope we'll see a bunch of you next week for the next weekly update.